Hmm. Class, good morning.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, bache.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you all?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
ma'am.
Good
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, bache. Good afternoon. How is everyone doing? Good.
Good afternoon.
I'm great.
Good afternoon. Fine. Aditya will tell me what we were doing. Aditya?
Ma'am, we just completed the geography chapter.
Question answers and everything done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good
Today,
afternoon, ma'am.
good afternoon, bacha. Good afternoon. So today we have to start with
History.
history or geography only. Let us continue with history or geography.
History.
History we did which chapter? I think 13th chapter we have completed, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So let us do one thing. Let us continue with the history part only. That will be in continuation and we have done also, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
So this 14th chapter that we have, it tells us about what it tells us about.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Aditya. It tells us about yes, Vidushi.
About Mahatma Gandhi.
About the freedom struggle that was initiated by Gandhiji. Okay, do you know anything about the Gandhian era, class?
Ma'am, non-violence and Dandi March.
Okay, non-violence, Dandi March, fine. What else?
Ma'am, Satyagrah.
Satyagraha, very good.
Quit India movement.
Okay, Quit India movement, fine. So let us take up, these topics one by one. Let me see what you all know about these, right? So first we'll start with non-violence. Somebody said non-violence, right? Ridhima said this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Ridhima, what Gandhiji meant by non-violence?
Ma'am, that we should send the Britishers back by doing movements and not by fighting with them.
Okay. We can say that, yes, Alishba, would you like to clarify it more? Alishba.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ansh. Alishba, are you there, beta?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, he believed that there is no benefit in fighting. Rather, he could convince the British people to go from India and ma'am, just this.
Okay, fine. Anyone else who would like to elaborate on this non-violence or non-violent ways? Okay, what Gandhiji adopted for not following violence? Let me put it this way. What Gandhiji followed for not using violence? See, to convince, to convince or to make the British, agree to their demands. How Gandhiji made the British agree to his demands? What non-violent ways he adopted?
Ma'am, through protests.
Through protest, demonstrations, right? What else?
Ma'am, newspapers.
Okay, newspapers, in a way you can say, but yes, the protest method or the demonstration method that he adopted, he felt that, peaceful processions would always help rather than, peaceful processions will always help rather than adapting to, violent ways. And for following non-violence, he laid beta Bhavya. Bhavya,
Ma'am, my options are not visible.
even I am not able to mute you.
Oh.
So it is okay. Fine. चलिए. Bhavya, you rejoin, beta. Okay. Fine. See, he believed in, satyagraha, right? Satyagraha means firm insistence on truth. Like if we stick to what truth is, people will definitely, bow down, right? Whether they, maybe they will take, maybe they will take time in doing that, but then they will definitely, accept or, agree to what you are saying. If you are with truth, if you are, firmly, if you stand by your words, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Has Bhavya joined in the participants list? Please check.
No, ma'am.
Okay, now she must be joining.
No, ma'am.
Fine, thank you so much.
Ma'am, she joined now.
Ma'am, she joined.
Okay, fine. So,
sorry, ma'am, in the laptop, all the options were invisible, so that's why.
हाँ कोई बात नहीं. Even I was facing some problem. Generally, when I feel that somebody is making, lot of noise, so I mute that participant. But then even my option was not working. Chalo, let it be, no issues. So, non-violence and satyagraha. See, to follow the path of truth, to follow the path of non-violence, these two were the major tools that were adopted by Gandhiji. Now, why he felt that following non-violence and truth in India would, bring some results? Because in South Africa, when he was practicing for law, at that time, there in South Africa, the Americans were, ruling over that country. So there again, racial discrimination was followed. Apartheid, you must have heard of apartheid, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So this
Yes, ma'am.
apartheid was followed there in South Africa also by the Americans against the Africans, those who were there. So Gandhiji, there also he fought with non-violence and truth, and he felt that, people he was able to, express himself through non-violent ways and through firm insistence on truth. So there, when he was successful there to convince, he felt that, India was his own country, and here, he said that people would listen to him, what he is trying to tell. So when he requested, when he, told people that let us not follow the violent ways, rather let us be, calm and quiet, and let us be, let us stick to truth and non-violence. He said that by this, maybe the freedom struggle that we are, initiating, it will take time. Maybe the process will go a little slow, but he said that whatever we will attain by, without any bloodshed or without being violent with others. So that way, he was able to convince people to go for non-violent ways of freedom struggle. Right? Like others, those who were there, especially when we talk of the revolutionaries were the one who believed in, there and then deciding what to do, what not to do. Like we have read that Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt, they in one of the courts, they threw bomb, though that bomb was not intended to hurt people or injure people, but still the British government did not approve of it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, so when Gandhiji, when he said that we will follow non-violence and we will go for Satyagraha. Now, why he, was so confident that Satyagraha is going to win, battle of freedom for him? Because when he came to India, for almost 1 year, he kept on, moving throughout the country, going to the remotest of the areas and seeking, support of the general public. He went to every neck and corner of the country, and he said that I want your support to win the freedom struggle. He said that alone I cannot win, but together of course we can make a difference. So people could relate to what Gandhiji wanted to convey. So throughout the one whole year, he kept on convincing people that without you it is not possible to attain independence. So everyone felt important. See, when you tell someone that you are important to us, that other person also confides in you, right? Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So when you show importance to someone, then the other person is always ready to help you out. So when Gandhiji told people that every Indian is important for me to attain independence, so every Indian could relate to what exactly he wanted to convey. So by this, Gandhiji was able to convince every Indian to fight for the cause of freedom. And his fight, as we all know, was completely non-violent, and he laid complete stress on the Satyagraha, on the truth, right? So the first have you all heard of Rowlatt Act? Have you heard of
No,
Rowlatt?
ma'am.
Have you heard
Oh,
of
ma'am.
have you heard of Jallianwala Bagh massacre?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Can anyone tell what exactly happened in Jallianwala Bagh massacre?
Ma'am, there was a
Okay, yes,
ma'am,
Elizabeth.
there was a meeting.
Huh?
There was a meeting going on during a curfew. So General Dyer, he went there and then he started shooting without any like
Warning.
threats or warning and threats. So he just started shooting and he closed all the doors of the Jallianwala Bagh and he killed everyone there. Almost there was almost thousands of people dead.
Okay, very good. So, do you know why people gathered there in there at the Jallianwala Bagh? Do you know why people gathered there? What was the motive? What was the reason?
No, ma'am.
For independence.
Anyone? Huh?
Independence.
No, not at all. Ved, do you know? Ved?
No, ma'am.
Okay. See, 13th of April. Every year we celebrate 13th of April as Baisakhi, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Right? Now see, 13th of April was Baisakhi. People gathered there in Jallianwala Bagh. Jallianwala Bagh is a place situated in Amritsar near Golden Temple. So people had gathered there because of the Baisakhi fairs that were organized over there in that particular area. And people were not aware that in the night in Amritsar, the British government had declared martial law. Right? So martial law is a situation, is a condition where, when martial law is imposed, like if you talk about the present times, when we say section 144 is imposed, so section 144 का मतलब होता है curfew situation, right? कि state में या
Yes, ma'am.
में, हाँ, या region में जो है curfew impose कर दिया गया है, and nobody is allowed to, come in group. But if you are, if more than one person is standing together, more than one, or when two people are sitting together or standing together, they are not supposed to do that when it is martial law, right? So next day Of course, it was Baisakhi fair. Nobody was aware of the imposition of this martial law. So people gathered there. They were, enjoying. But all of a sudden, what happened? This Jallianwala Bagh, it has only one entrance. There was just one entrance to the area. So people, General Dyer, who was, called shortly to control the situation. Now, why? What was the reason why he was called all of a sudden? The thing was that the British government had imposed, they had enacted an act which was known by the name of Rowlatt Act. Now, this Rowlatt Act was something which, gave the British government immense power to put the political prisoners in the jail without having a trial for them. Now, what is this trial? I think you have read in your judiciary chapter that no person, if a person is arrested and within 24 hours, that person is, presented before the magistrate, that is called as trial. So British government, by imposing Rowlatt Act, they said that no, the person who is arrested will be put directly to jail without any trial for 2 to 3 years. Now, this was something which was not accepted by the Indians. They were agitating against this. And Gandhiji, because, when in 1915, he came back from South Africa, 1916, when he was touring the country throughout, he went to Champaran, and there in Champaran is in Bihar, right? So there he saw the condition of the indigo planters. They were complaining that, the British government, they are taking a lot of revenue from them. They are forcing them to grow indigo on the fertile land, though they were not willing. So Gandhiji, Gandhiji suggested them, why don't you protest, in a peaceful way by satyagrah. So when when the indigo planters, they, protested in a very peaceful manner, they were successful in doing that. So Gandhiji felt that, this satyagrah is a very good, way of, convincing British at that time. So then in Kheda, Gujarat, again, some of the people, they were, again, peasants were suffering from the revenue that the British government was collecting. Then in Ahmedabad also, similar situations were there. So everywhere, Gandhiji, wherever he went and wherever he, heard the grievances of the people, he suggested them that you go for satyagrah. And, everywhere satyagrah was successful. Like British government had to, ultimately listen to the demands of the people. So Gandhiji felt that, because of the imposition of the Rowlatt Act, let us go for a nationwide satyagrah. So this nationwide, initially it was, satyagrah was initiated on, in small places. But now he said that now it is the time, because the British government has imposed, a law that is not acceptable by the Indians. So let us go for a nationwide satyagrah. So he initiated this, nationwide hartal. He declared that on, 10th of April, hartal will be declared. And, people, he said that I will come for a public meeting there in Jallianwala Bagh and will address the people. So when the British government came to know about this, they, what they did, they did not allow Gandhiji to come to Delhi. They stopped him there only. And some of the eminent, local leaders of, Punjab, they were arrested and they were put into jail. And by, when people came to know about this, they were very angry. So what they did, they started, agitating, demonstrating. They started, damaging the official buildings of the British government. So this was something which they did not like. The British government did not like this idea, the way people were reacting. So what they did, they imposed martial law. They called General Dyer. And because General Dyer was, in earlier cases also, he was very successful in, suppressing these kind of, outrages which were there. So British government was quite convinced that, once the General Dyer comes, things will be under control. So when General Dyer came, he was given, complete control of taking care of the situation. So he imposed, in the night only, he imposed martial law where people were not aware of that. And next day morning, when they gathered there, some of them, they were there because people said that Gandhiji would be coming. Some of them were there to enjoy the fair. And all of a sudden, when General Dyer came, he closed he closed the just one entrance was there. He closed that entrance. And, he told his people, without warning, giving warning to the general public which was gathered there, without giving them warning, he opened fire on them and thousands of people died. Many of them, they jumped into the well. thinking that they will save their lives, but then to their disappointment, where they were jumping, they ultimately met with their, and because thousands of people, hundreds of people, they jumped into the well, and the well was full of dead bodies up till the neck. Those who must have visited Jallianwala Bagh, they must have, seen this. Right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
Jallianwala Bagh massacre that happened, Gandhiji was very disappointed by this, because immediately after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, people, most of the satyagrahis, those who were there, they took to, violent ways. They damaged the buildings of the British government, and ultimately British government also, took rigorous steps to control the public. So they suppressed the satyagrahis. They were beaten brutally. Brutal, ways were adapted to suppress the outrage that was shown by the satyagrahis. So this was something which, disappointed Gandhiji a lot. Gandhiji felt so bad. He said that my motive was to go, completely have non-violent ways of, convincing British government. But then because of the British government, because of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, people were disappointed, and ultimately Gandhiji had to call off this nationwide satyagrah. Right. Then after that, after this Roulette Act, I hope this Roulette Act is clear now to everyone. Roulette satyagrah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now after this Roulette satyagrah, it was that time when, First World War was also going on over there. Now after the First World War stopped, what happened? The British government had, promised Turkey. At that time, it was called as Ottoman Empire. So Turkey, the ruler of Turkey was promised that, uh, if they support British government in the First World War, they will be given their, the Khalifa. Khalifa is a honor that is given to the ruler of the state. So they said that we will not, we will not dismiss that. You will be ruling your own, regions. But to the disappointment of the Turkeys, the British government, they denied. After the First World War was over, they denied whatever promises were made to them. So the Indian Muslims, those who were there here at that time, they, they launched the Khilafat movement. Now Khilafat, if you see the literal meaning of Khilafat, it is going against something, right? So Gandhiji, when the Ali brothers, Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali, when they initiated this Khilafat movement, at that time Gandhiji got an idea to bring, Muslims and Hindus together. We have read in the previous chapter, we have read about the Bengal partition, right? 1905.
Yes, ma'am.
So because of this Bengal partition, and because of the formation of Muslim League, the Hindus and the Muslims, they were parted. The British government, they wanted to follow the policy of divide and rule. So British government was, to some extent, they were successful in, creating divisions between the Hindus and the Muslims. But Gandhiji felt that this Khilafat movement was the right time to bring Hindus and Muslims, under one single umbrella. So when Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali, they went to, they came to Gandhiji discussing about it. Gandhiji said that, okay, even I want to, go for this kind of movement. So at that time in 1920, Shaukat Ali, Muhammad Ali, they launched this this Khilafat movement, and Gandhiji at that time, declared for the non-cooperation movement. So this non-cooperation movement was असहयोग, इसको हिंदी में हम बोलते हैं असहयोग आंदोलन. ठीक है. तो ये जो आपका नॉन कोऑपरेशन था, या ये जो असहयोग आंदोलन था, इसमें गांधी जी said that, we will not be cooperating with the British government anymore, क्योंकि British government से cooperate करके ही, the British government has, taken undue advantage of our cooperation. So let us not cooperate with them, and let us tell them that, see, whatever we want, we will do that, and we will definitely get Swaraj, which the British government was denying. He said that now we are going to take this Swaraj, whatever may come. I hope I am clear up till here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now after this non-cooperation was launched, again, though people were, demonstrating in peaceful ways only, but these are satyagrahis, those who were there, these satyagrahis were, they were not taken up seriously by the general public. So one such day, what happened in 1922, February 1922, when, some of the satyagrahis were demonstrating peacefully, in the market, something went wrong, and the agitated satyagrahis, those who were there, they got so violent that they burnt one of the police station, and there were 22 people inside the police station. They all were burnt. And when Gandhiji came to know about this incident, he was so disappointed, he was so disheartened, that he called off this non-cooperation movement. He said, no more non-cooperation movement. When people are not, when they are not able to stick to the non-violent ways, then there is no point going for these satyagrahas or going for these nationalist movements. Now, when Gandhiji called off this non-cooperation movement, now, this incident is known as the Chauri Chaura incident. This Chauri Chaura is a place in Gorakhpur, UP. And because of this incident, Gandhiji called off the non-cooperation movement. Sometimes this question comes that why Gandhiji called off the non-cooperation movement. So the simple answer to this question is because of the Chauri Chaura incident, Gandhiji called off the non-cooperation movement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope up till here it is clear and understood to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Now see, during this non-cooperation movement only, Swadeshi movement, which was initiated at the time of Bengal partition, that was carried forwarded to the nationalist movements also, which were initiated by Gandhiji. Talking about the non-cooperation movement, be it non-cooperation, boycott was, followed at the time of non-cooperation also, at the time of civil disobedience also. Then Swadeshi movement was followed. Swadeshi was followed at the time of non-cooperation also, and at the time of satyagraha, at the time of civil disobedience also. Now, what was this boycott movement? Boycott was not using the foreign goods, right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
And wearing Indian cloth only. Like by this time, British, they were bringing manufactured goods to the country, especially the textile which was there. So the Gandhiji appealed to the Indians, appealed to the masses that let us stick to khadi only, and if we will, promise ourselves that we will wear khadi only, that way we will become self-sufficient. We will not be dependent on the British government, right? So they were, Gandhiji, everywhere people were, spilling this, charkha, and they were spinning, and they were making their own, cloth. So this was done especially at the time of non-cooperation, right, class? I hope this much is clear and understood to each every one of you.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Fine. So let's see
Yes, ma'am.
from the book, and then further more explanation, right?
Okay,
Right.
ma'am.
Chalo. So let us have Alishba reading page 101, National Movement, Gandhian Era.
Gandhian Era. Gandhi in South Africa. Born on 2 October 1869, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi went to England to study law after receiving his early education in India. He returned to India and started practicing law in 1893. He accepted a one-year contract from an Indian law firm in Natal, South Africa. In South Africa, Gandhi faced racial discrimination in its most cruel form. He was deeply affected by the humiliation that the Indians had to suffer there. He resisted the racial policy of the white government of South Africa. He developed the technique of satyagraha, a form of protest based on truth and non-violence against a ruthless government. Gandhi came back to India in 1915. In 1916, he founded the Sabarmati Ashram at Ahmedabad. Prior to him, the Indian National Congress had either failed or not attempted to mobilize the masses. Gandhi adopted simple means to involve the masses in the national movement because he realized that without the participation of the masses, the dream of achieving independence would never take the shape of reality. He appealed for Hindu-Muslim unity and emancipation of depressed classes and women. Thus, his aims were broad-based on men and meant for the benefit of the majority of the Indian population.
Anything up till here to be explained furthermore? Beta?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
All
No,
clear?
ma'am.
ma'am.
Understood? All clear and understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us have Vidushi reading Non-Violent Satyagraha Movement. Vidushi, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Chalo beta, read out.
Violent Satyagraha movement. Gandhi set out to achieve his aims with the help of truth and non-violence exemplified through passive resistance, satyagraha and disobedience to unjust laws. Some of his early experiments with satyagraha in India included these incidents. First, at Champaran in 1917, Mahatma Gandhi fought for the indigo planters who had suffered at hands of the British. Second, his other initial success included a settlement of dispute between the workers and mill owners of Ahmedabad. Third, he also supported the cause of the peasants of Kheda in Gujarat in their struggle against the collection of land revenue when their crops had failed.
Okay, anything in this to be explained furthermore? Non-violent way Satyagraha movement. Clear and
No, ma'am.
understood? Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Next, can we have Payal reading? Payal's camera is off today. Why is it so, Payal?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, fine. Read. Rowlatt Satyagraha.
Rowlatt Satyagraha. The passing of the Rowlatt Act brought Gandhi to the national political arena. He opposed the act and fixed 30 March 1919 as a day of Hartal, fasting, prayer, penance, meetings and processions all over the country. The government adopted measures like the breaking of processions and meetings, lathi charge, and even opening fire at the different places, imprisonment, and the deportation of the political leaders to suppress the movement quickly. But the worst incident occurred in Punjab, particularly at Amritsar, where the tragedy of Jallianwala Bagh took place. People of Punjab were fuming with agitation. Gandhi was not allowed to enter Punjab. Some leaders were deported from Amritsar on April 10 April. On the same day, a peaceful procession in Amritsar was fired at. In protest, the people held a meeting in Jallianwala Bagh on 13 April 1919. To disperse the gathering, General Dyer reached with his troops and ordered firing. Hundreds of people were killed and thousands were wounded. A wave of horror and indignation swept over the country following the incident. Rabindranath Tagore surrendered the knighthood, the honorary title which was conferred upon him by the Queen of England. Gandhi returned the Kesar-e-Hind medal given to him for his services during the Boer War.
Okay. Anything to be explained over here?
No, ma'am.
All
No,
clear?
ma'am. No, ma'am.
Fine. Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Khilafat and non-cooperation movements. Let us have Ved reading out. Ved, are you
Okay.
there? Yes, Hanji. Khilafat and non.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. Turkey was defeated by the Allied powers during World War I. The Indian Muslims the Indian Muslims became apprehensive of the fate of Turkey and its Sultan, who was also the Khalifa or the religious head of the Muslims all over the world. The Muslims therefore formed a Khilafat committee under the leadership of the Ali brothers, Maulana
Muhammad Ali and Maulana Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. What happened with?
Yes, ma'am. Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali and other leaders like Maulana Azad and Hakim Ajmal Khan. Its purpose was to organize a countrywide agitation if the position of the Khalifa was undermined. Gandhi and many other Congress leaders viewed the Khalifat agitation as a golden opportunity for bringing the Hindus and Muslims together on the national front and decided to support it. In June 1920, an all-party conference met
At Allahabad. Conference met at Allahabad.
at Allahabad and adopted a
Program of boycott.
boycott of schools, colleges, and law courts. The Khilafat Committee launched the non-cooperation movement on 31st August 1920. Gandhi was the first to join it. Thus, the demands of the Khilafat Committee and the Congress were merged into one, and the non-cooperation movement was led by Gandhiji to get those demands fulfilled. The
Okay,
program of the non-cooperation movement.
Wait. You read the demands of the. It is Khilafat Committee. Okay. Right, Ved?
Okay, ma'am.
Now, the program of the non-cooperation movement included the following. Can we have Ridhima reading? Ridhima.
Yes, ma'am. The program of the non-cooperation movement included the surrendering all titles and honorary offices, resigning from nominated seats in local bodies, refusal to attend government or semi-government functions, the gradual withdrawal of children from schools and colleges aided or controlled by the government, boycott of British courts by lawyers and litigants, boycott of elections to be held for the councils as suggested by the reforms of 1919, and boycott of foreign goods.
I hope up till here it is all clear and understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything to be
Yes,
explained more? Anything to be explained more?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let us have Angel reading now. The constructive features of non-cooperation movement.
Okay, ma'am. Constructive features of non-cooperation movement. Three main features of this constructive program were the first, the promotion of Swadeshi, particularly hand spinning and weaving. Second, removal of untouchability among Hindus. And third, promotion of Hindu-Muslim unity.
I hope this is all clear and understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Chalo. Let
Yes,
us have Aditya reading now. Course of the movement.
Okay, ma'am. Course of the movement. As a result, Swadeshi became popular and Khadi soon became a symbol of freedom. Liquor shops and foreign goods shops,
Beta, foreign goods.
foreign cloth shops were shunned. Huge bonfires of foreign cloths were organized all over the country.
Aditya, foreign, okay?
Okay, ma'am. People avoided law courts. The Tilak Swaraj Fund was started to finance the non-cooperation movement. The visit of the Prince of Wales was boycotted, and the complete hartal was observed in Bombay on the day of his arrival.
Okay. Carry on with government repression also.
Okay, ma'am. Government repression. The government took recourse to repression. The Congress and the Khilafat volunteers organization were declared unlawful. Public meetings were prohibited. By December 1921, with the exception of Mahatma Gandhi, C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru, Lala Lajpat Rai, Maulana Azad, and many other top-ranking leaders were put behind prison walls.
Okay, fine. Only this much for today. Rest we will continue tomorrow. I hope whatever I have explained is all clear and understood, class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do read it again. Not if anything not understood, not clear, do ask tomorrow. Fine, class.
Okay,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
And till then, please keep preparing for the map work.